It's time for another installment of Boring History for Sleep, the series where I take all the fun out of history by reading dry, dusty history books and then putting what I learned into the most boring infomercial-style video that I possibly can. And since it's summertime, we are going to talk about how humans evolved. Because if there's one thing humans love more than anything in the entire world, it's talking about ourselves. So let's get started. First, we need to go way back, like millions and millions of years ago. In fact, scientists don't even agree on exactly when or how this process started, but at some point in the distant past, some animal in Africa was smart enough to stand up on two legs instead of walking on all fours, and nobody knows why they did that. One popular theory is that our ape-like ancestors were tired of having their butts on the ground and wanted to be able to see over the tall grasses while they were scavenging for food. Another theory says that standing upright just made it easier to travel across the savannas while carrying bundles of wood back to the cave. Whatever the reason, these early hominids got tired of being little proto-chimps and decided to try something new, and unlike the dodo bird, it worked. And eventually, those two-legged animals became the first members of the genus Homo. Now, you may be asking yourself, who cares? Big deal. So what? You know, my grandma was a proto-chimp too. I mean, I looked just like her. Well, turns out our early ancestors didn't look much like modern humans after all. They were still covered in body hair. They had huge brains compared to their small bodies, and unlike us, they only ate plants. The earliest member of the genus Homo that we have found is called Homo habilis, and they lived in Africa between 2.8 million and 1.6 million years ago. Now, obviously, the name Homo habilis means handy man, which sounds nice, but really it just means we're good at making stone tools, and that's all scientists have to go on. When they find an animal skeleton with stone tools near it, that animal is classified as a Homo habilis. Since no one has ever found a habilis using a tool, we don't actually know if they made them or just liked to hang around while other animals used them. And since we haven't found any habilis poop, we don't know if they ate meat or not. Scientists think they probably did, because later Homo sapiens definitely did, but they also think our ancestors preferred plants. Either way, Homo habilis wasn't very handy at all, because they didn't last very long. After 1.6 million years of existence, they went extinct, for reasons unknown. Next, we move forward 500,000 years to when Homo erectus came along. They looked more like modern humans, except they had huge brains, big brow ridges and flat noses. And this species lasted from 1.8 million to 117,000 years ago, which makes me wonder if they filed their own tax returns. Turns out, Homo erectus spread out of Africa and into Asia and Europe, where they hunted wild cattle, elephants, and hippos. Also, they invented the controlled use of fire, and most importantly, they learned how to make better stone tools and weapons. Some of the stone tools they made were so advanced that people thought they must have been made by Homo sapiens, but it turns out they were made by Homo erectus. And while these guys are gone, they'll never be forgotten. Just ask any self-respecting paleoanthropologist. Okay, now it's time for a quick break from human evolution to bring you a word from our sponsor. BetterHelp is online therapy made easy. When you visit their website, you fill out a questionnaire to help find the best therapist for you. Then you can talk to your therapist however you want via phone, video, or instant message. It's convenient and affordable. Plus, it's a great value. And if you decide it's not the right fit, you can switch therapists at any time. BetterHelp wants to make sure you're getting the right support and are happy with your experience. Now back to the video. Next we come to Homo neanderthalensis, better known as Neanderthals, who lived in Europe and parts of Asia between 400,000 and 45,000 years ago. Neanderthals were stocky and muscular with receding chins and large noses, and while we tend to think of them as dumb brutes, recent studies suggest they had complex language abilities and buried their dead with great care. Plus, they weren't all that different from Homo sapiens. We could totally pass as Neanderthals today. We just need to grow some body hair and learn how to make spears. Neanderthals were perfectly suited for the cold climates they inhabited. Their thick skulls and big muscles kept them warm, and their large noses helped them breathe in cold air without freezing their lungs. In fact, some researchers think Neanderthals were the first humans to develop language and wear clothing, so they probably gossiped a lot. I mean, what else do you do when you're trapped in the Ice Age? Unfortunately, While they may have been great conversationalists, they weren't great at, well, not going extinct. And while scientists once believed they were wiped out completely by advancing Homo sapiens, recent research suggests that two species interbred, and you can tell who your great-great-great-grandfather was by looking at your DNA. If you have a Neanderthal gene, you have someone to thank for your big nose and love of gossip. Finally, we get to Homo sapiens, the only surviving species of the genus Homo, which makes us pretty special because every single one of you watching this video is a unique individual, which means that you're awesome. You might be thinking, why am I watching a 30-minute video about how amazing I am? Aren't I interrupting my regularly scheduled program about how awful everyone else is? Well, this is the closest thing we have to a time machine. And if you want to know what separates us from other primates, watch the rest of this video and find out. The exact origins of Homo sapiens is a hot topic among anthropologists. We know we evolved in Africa. We know we were probably white once. And we know that we spread out from Africa into Asia and Europe around 70,000 years ago, replacing the Neanderthals and making the dodo bird go extinct. But until recently, we didn't know much else. But in 2019, scientists found a fossil in Morocco that dates back 300,000 years. This would suggest that Homo sapiens evolved in Africa sometime before then. Unfortunately, the fossil itself was so scrappy that it hasn't been fully identified yet. But it could belong to an entirely new species of early Homo sapiens. Or it could be evidence that Homo sapiens evolved independently multiple times in Africa. That seems unlikely, but then again, we were probably wrong about Neanderthals being dumb, weren't we? What scientists do know is that Homo sapiens quickly spread across the globe after leaving Africa. Today, we inhabit every continent except Antarctica, and while that might have something to do with penguins, scientists believe Homo sapiens also hunted Neanderthals to extinction, or at least made them extinct by competing for resources. And when we say we mean a group of humans who had one key advantage over other species. We had bigger brains, not like actual size because Homo sapiens have average-sized brains, but in terms of complexity, our brain folds allow for more surface area, which allows for more brain power, which allowed us to create more advanced tools and live in more varied environments. And while we killed off most of the megafauna and invented technology that will either save us or destroy us, we are the only species of human left, so we must be doing something right. Unless you consider being boring a personality trait, in which case we're doomed. If you'd like to hear more about how interesting humans are, check out the playlist that's always linked at the end of these videos. And as always, thanks for watching.